Oh, yeah. Welcome back to another day. Another fun-filled day of, ladies and gentlemen, Kerbal Space Program 2. Yay! Oh, we gonna do this. We are gonna do this. What shall we do today? Yesterday we had a successful launch of our Kerbal Space Program Mega Launcher. Let's see where I think it was like around right here. It says landed here. This is probably when we're initially taking off. We had an adventurous time yesterday because, well, I don't know if you joined us yesterday. If you didn't, go back to that video. That was called March 6th. I named my videos similar, just changed the dates. But yeah, it was pretty incredible. It was a pretty incredible day. Let's do this one here. Let's see where we're at here. I think this is probably post-launch, so I probably just pressed the launch button. But we'll see. Let's turn it down a little bit because the rockets are pretty loud if it is launching. I don't want the whole household to wake up and go, "What are you doing at 6 a.m.?" Oh, okay. So this is... Okay, I remember this. So this is what we had initially planned. I was trying to figure out a way I could get this rover on the moon with a full up round rocket for evac. Which isn't a very good idea because you can only seat one in this thing. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what would happen if I initiated this rocket here. Let's see how I would go about doing that to begin with. I'd have to undock it, and then I'd have to fire the... Let's see if I can fire this manually. Independent throttle. I could do that. Throttle it up. But I'd also have to activate it, so that'd be activate. So maybe I can undock first. Let me see here. Parts manager. This goes down. Oh, here it is, way down here. Okay, so if I activate it, but I'd have to really quickly after I undock. I'd have to really quickly. I wish there was a way you could find out. I'm right-clicking right now, so that's why it's not doing it. I'd have to really quickly slam down here and go, boom, activate. Boom. The swivel. Boom. Activate. To get it to fly. And then I keep messing up here, so let's try this again. Click, 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 click. Just a couple of clicks down and boom, activate. Okay, let's try it. Undock. Oh, it doesn't work like that. Oh. Oh, I just destroyed the whole thing. But the reason why I was fooling with that is because I didn't want to do it anyway, but now everything's falling apart. There goes my rover. Which the rover, surprisingly, is very robust. Of course, he just landed on his backside. But that's why I installed this rocket right here. Let's go ahead and activate him and independent throttle, and let's see if we can flip this over. There we go. Flip it over. Boom. My pilot's still there. He is still good to go. Let's see where he's going to end up. Oh, he's going to end up coming down the ramp there. He's like, I'm out. This is getting crazy for me, man. Let's activate this. Oh, when you activate these, I don't think there's independent throttle on here. I wonder if there's a way I can activate all 4 at one time. If anybody knows of a way I can do that, let me know. Because I know if I start activating these one by one, they're just gonna gimbal limit, whatever. Oh, the gimbal. Advanced controls, gimbal limit. So once I activate one of these, it's just going to take off and start flying all over the place like crazy. So I got an REM3. Yeah, the Clydesdale. The S233 is the Clydesdale. And there's one way down here, and there's one here, and there's one here somewhere. There's one, I don't know. That's the main. So, let's try it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's do this one. Maybe we can do them one at a time. And it's trashed. I trashed the rocket. Whew. Yeah. After the dust settles, it's like a disgruntled NASA employee just destroyed years of work. Years of work just down the drain. Okay, so let's go back. Now we were talking about, this was today's. So yesterday, let's see what file I loaded just now. I had a whole bunch of fun yesterday, as you can see. I think we just loaded this one, so that was the most current. I kind of wish I would have saved my work. Let's go all the way back. Because I'm pretty sure when you save a specific vehicle, that it stays in the save pot, even if you go backwards in time. So this is going way back. This was my first rover unit. That didn't even really work right because I put my rover facing this way. So you can see the jump seat here. So the way Kerbal works, when it has this craft, this is, I consider its own craft, all the blue stuff. If you put the rover's control box facing horizontally like this, now it believes that this is your front and this is your rear. So when you try to go retrograde, instead of retrograding this rocket here, it retrogrades the rover. So it retrogrades you this way. So you can never quite retrograde to, slow your descent. Now, I didn't think about this before, but maybe, possibly, if I was to remove this, and this, of course. Oh, I don't want to take both docking ports off. Okay, so these are docking ports, of course. You're probably familiar with those. But I was thinking maybe, I think you can only declare something the main rocket. That's what this button's for. It declares that as the main rocket. So anytime your stages, like let's say for example, and a lot of people have this problem. Let's go down here and look at this. Let's say for example, why can't I zoom in and out? I guess I got to go back here to zoom out. Okay, so let's say for example, and this happens to a lot of people, you start out with this module in your design, and that's the only thing you have on your screen. If this is pressed on that rocket, and this is where a lot of people get hung up when they start to stage, because they'll stage their first booster off, or like this for example, and then all of a sudden their rocket just keeps going, but the camera stops and just focuses on this thing falling from the sky. That's why, because you got to press this button here. It took me a long time to figure that out. And I've got a ROG part over here. This is probably the rocket booster motor that I left over here. And it's so small I can't even isolate it here. So we're going to go in for a closer examination. And that's exactly what it is. It's a booster. So I was tying this booster in for a while, but it doesn't matter because we're going to clear slate this anyways. We're going to go up to the clear slate here and say, yeah, delete everything from the workshop here, because we have created a rocket. At least I thought we did. Let's see, where is it? Well, yeah, essentially this is the most current design, because I don't think I saved it with the other design I made yesterday. This is the most current design. Let me make sure it doesn't have some things on it, and it does. So I have recently removed these. I need to save the file now after I do this again, because these do nothing. These do nothing. They did help a little bit, but I have learned that it's better to just use the electric power instead of trying to thrust this thing forward, because the rovers are really touchy on the moon. And I have also learned through experience, guys, put some kind of motor on the top of your rovers. I don't care if it's this big guy here. I like this big guy because it's got a subtle thrust and it seems to do the job. But trust me, when you flip over on the moon, you're done unless you can flip it over. And this is my flipper over unit. Now, another thing I learned yesterday is these wheels won't like break off, but they do suffer damage somehow. I wish there was a damage report that you could get on your vessels, on your ships, on your rovers, but there's not. But I ended up driving so fast yesterday on the moon, and I kept hearing that, that sound when you crash, and also the dialogue box would come up and my rover would just leave and it would act like all my guys were dead or something. But I would just go into the tracking station and find it again and reconnect to it. And I would continue driving. Well, after a while of having those incidents, my wheels stopped powering my vehicle. And I don't know why that is, but I'm thinking that these were being damaged and it wasn't really giving me a damage report on the wheels. So there's a lot of inadequacies in this, in the Kerbal software's programming. Another change I made too is I swapped this centerpiece out for a hub, and instead of putting this on there, I put it here. And that kind of, I don't know how this works out to where I've got a little gap here, because technically these squares are supposed to be the same size and it should be like 4x4, but go figure. But it's because I got these, see, when I put these 4x4s in here, I didn't quite put them flush. I actually did the good old stick them inside of something else glitch that you can kind of do if something's not fitting right the way you want it. So I kind of just shoved that in there and it stays. So in essence, it's not really connected, but it is connected somehow. So I don't know. But I like the design. And really, I know it's tempting to try to build a small rover and just put the wheels on the rover's control box and just have a smaller rover. But I really learned that, especially for the moon at least, with almost no gravity to keep things down, that's kind of a failing method. So yesterday, I stuck a docking port up here onto this hub, and then I went into this area here, and I grabbed a rocket. It doesn't really matter as long as it's light enough. I grabbed this one. This one's pretty. This one's not only light, but it's powerful. So I'm going to merge it like I did yesterday. Merge it, but we're going to have to add a docking port to this as well. So we're going to have to flip our docking port over to get it to stick. And I don't know why this... Oh, I guess that's because that's the main of that. I still have my main here. This is my main unit. Although, no, I don't want to make this the main unit because then you start to run into problems. But this is basically what I call the 3-in-1. So I can perform 3 missions at one time with this craft. Not only can I launch the main craft, which is right here, with, you know, a pilot, an astronaut, but I can also discharge the rover down onto the moon, and at the same time I can have this craft for a miscellaneous use type craft. Now I was thinking, now if this was for, I want to say reconnaissance, but let's say that we were trying to specifically pick up somebody, and this doesn't even have a heat shield on the bottom, so I don't know what this craft was designed for. Of course, this would probably be where the heat shield is. No, maybe it's on the bottom of here. Let's just, out of curiosity, yeah, there it is. No, is that a heat shield? No, that's the top. So maybe out of curiosity it's on here. No, that's another rocket. So they didn't really equip this. Here's a parachute. So they intended to land somewhere, but without a heat shield, I don't think they were going to land on Earth. I'm going to take this off here. But just for the sake of, this is a 2-seater. How many can you fit in here? Let's see the particulars on here. Oh, it's only 1 seat, this thing says. The only downside is it has only 1 seat. This one here has, how many seats? One crew required, but how many seats does it have? Does it say? This is no softies, equipped with a battery, boats are powerful, okay, stabilized craft. It looks to me like this only has 1 seat. This, of course, is the tin can. It only has 1 seat. This one here is very lightweight, but packs blah, blah, blah. Crew required is 1, but how many seats does it have? It doesn't say. Lightweight, limited battery, reaction wheel. This is a 2-seater. There's got to be a 3-seater. I mean, this is a viewing window. It only has 1 seat. This is a single seat. It says right up there, 2-seat. 3-seat command pod. See, that says 3-seat up there. So we want at least 3 seats, but this thing is ginormous. So we're going to have to upgrade this at least. And this is, what is this even? This is the, oh, this is the torque. So let's take these batteries off and look around it to make sure there's not anything else there. We're gonna delete this torque maneuver module, and we'll just add a new one. I think this is that's a rechargeable battery. Aerodynamics, it's not going to be in there. Structures. I always get confused about where these torquers would be. Probably in utilities. Okay, so here's a medium size. Here's a medium size stabilizer. We'll put that on there. Let's put let's put a heat shield on this guy. because essentially we would want to return to Earth. And he's even got a little hatch here. See that hatch? And I guess theoretically you can move about space stations and systems, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure. I guess you can peer inside or something when you're... I mean, look at that detail. That's pretty cool. There's 3 seats in there. That's pretty gnarly. Oh yeah, look at that. Dude, you can totally like look around. I want to look at the controls. So you depress down the middle mouse button to focus on a particular part. And let's see here what I can see in here. Gotta go one more in. It's not letting me really get a good look in there. There we go. There's the seat again. Let's look upward. Oh, you know what? I know what I gotta do. I gotta bring it up a little. Let's look right down here. No, too far. Let's look up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Look, there's the avionics and stuff. Switches. Wow. There's the lid. Looks like they got some stuff going on in there. If you guys know a better way I can, like, go inside here and look around, please comment, because if there's tips and tricks you see that I'm not using that I could use, like, I would definitely appreciate that, because it gets a little daunting to do all this work. I'm going to put these batteries here. And it's not a big deal. Then I guess I'm going to put it down onto here. I'm going to add a ladder because there's nothing worse than wanting to get out and having to jump and do all sorts of stuff with your guy in order to get up onto the aircraft, up onto the spacecraft. So I'd rather have plenty of places where I can, say, grab here. And see, this is another thing that happens with this game sometimes. Like, that ladder's going straight up, but yet now I can't place a ladder straight. See? It's just so silly. Like, I guess I could do that. I guess that's straight. And I hate when I accidentally right click and I open up these dialog boxes. There's nothing more annoying. Okay, so it looks like the best I can do is right here, but it looks like it's going to be behind this. That's what it is. So I'm just going to attach this one right here. So at least I just have to jump up there after this thing's on the ground. But who knows? I mean, look at this thing. When I'm down on the ground, my little Kerbal's going to be like, oh, I got to judge, like, where it's at. And so, you know, that pretty much concludes the build for this guy. And we'll add a little aerodynamic cone to the top here. The sun's starting to come up, so the eyes are trained to start to let out all the dust that you collected all night. I woke up early today, like at 2:15. It was 2:13 actually when I woke up. And I just knew, like, when you get to my age, you just know when you're not going to really sleep well again. So you're like, screw it, I'm going to wake up. I'm just going to get up, start my day. And I felt very well rested, even though I'm yawning. But And I did quite a bit yesterday. I built a outside bar on my patio. I laid some cement, stuck a metal pole in it so that I could attach something to it. Because I'm in the middle of building a garden gate for my wife, and cleaned up the house a little bit. And so that's where we're at. So this is where we're at here. And we've got some good stuff going on for us. I hesitate to save this as a new file, but I think just for the means of playing around, for some reason, see, this thing's already saved a little bit, but we're going to save it over this file because you really can't do any harm. Of course, I didn't adjust these yet, so let me grab this and put it way up at the top where it belongs, because we don't want to do any of that stuff until later. And a lot of times, as long as you maintain your main rocket stuff for proper usage, see, I can already see that I'm missing some stuff here. Because after this, after I discharge this thing, then I should have a parachute. I should have my 4 parachutes for my main rig right there. And then this stuff, you don't even have to mess with that stuff yet, because that's all stuff that comes later. Because as I eject these craft, they become their own setup. So, and they kind of fall in line. So as long as my main craft is set up, I'm pretty good to go. I'm just going to save it again because I just adjusted that. And see, look, like I don't see it. Where is it? Where's that one I just saved? Under stock Kerbal K1. I don't see it. Where's it at? It should have a rocket on the top. Oh, there it is. So let's save this over that file. And let's get out there and see what she can do. But first, let's make sure our astronauts are going to fill these spots here. And we're always playing around. I don't really want to fill this, empty it. I added her to the wrong one. I just want one here. So I'm going to put her there. I'll put this guy down here. There should be 1 per. I don't need 2 pilots for each little thing. So basically, and I don't even need this guy. This guy's going to be in the lander, in the rover. This girl is going to be in here, I believe. And this guy's going to be up here, so he can pick up 2 astronauts that are stranded on the moon or where have you. Essentially, that's the plan. So, I don't know if that's feasible. We'll see. But let's try it. Let's try it out. It's all about experimentation. Now, it kind of looks like I had a little experience there with a noodle craft glitch there. So, what I usually tend to do to fix that is I'll revert to launch. And that kind of helps to dispel that noodle craft. I've never done it before launching before, but let's see if it works. You should look at your craft as soon as you go and it loads, and it shouldn't be jiggling at all. It should be nice and solid and ready to go. And we're just going to launch this guy. I always kind of hit the up arrow at the start just to kind of remind the software that, yeah, I want this guy to go straight up and down, not tilted or sideways. And you don't want to leave that too long, because if you leave that arrow right here on past like 15,000 feet or something, or 15,000 meters, it disappears and it changes it into like normal mode or something, and you start headed towards the ground. So I'll lock it here. I'm gonna go ahead and kick off my first stage there, and I've got little parachutes on those rockets. But I noticed, because one time I got my main rocket label wrong, and I stayed at the ground while my rocket went up, and those things kicked off, and I was on the ground watching those fall to the ground. They actually still explode when they hit, so my parachutes really aren't doing a very good justice on those. I was hoping that they would land safely on the ground so I could go and recover. And I don't even know what the purpose of recovery is, really, because I haven't had a situation in this game, unlike KSP1, where you would run out of money. KSP2 doesn't seem to incorporate the amount of money as being something you can run out of, because I've built tons of rockets and stuff, and I have never seen a budget on here that says that I'm almost about to run out of money or anything. But in KSP1, I think that was the case. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were running like a real space program, and if you ran out of funds, you ran out of funds, and you couldn't really build anymore. I'm kind of doing my rotation a little early, and that kind of worries me about discharging these, because I'm still kind of in an upsweep, and I don't want those motors to sweep my good engines. Sometimes if you're in an upsweep and you do your turn and your engines need a stage, when you stage, it'll cause those motors that you're staging to hit your good motors. But I'm up high enough now, so I'm gonna try to tilt. I don't know why it's not. Oh, I wasn't pressing the right button. Hopefully I wasn't pressing the wrong button. Sometimes you make a mistake and you slip and you hit the space bar and you stage when you don't want to stage, and you gotta start all over. But here we're gonna try to start a decent little orbit towards the moon, and we're at 1300 meters per second, but we're still climbing probably at a rate of 1200, so I gotta kind of let this thing catch up to the side movement. I've already gained so much AP that it's ridiculous, which kind of kills my efficiency, because I'd like to have half of this inside power, but my craft is still going up with the burst of 100,000 horses. So we'll just check on our orbit here, make sure we're creating a decent curve. And like I said before, this is way too high, but whatever. I'm gonna just get going a little more, so I got more of an arc. I kind of like to arc it around a little bit to about right here before I power off my motors, and then creep up to the AP. It's been kind of like my standing policy, because I am doing some side movement here, so maybe I'll let it cook for a little while. And as you can see, my arc is getting longer here. Let's check my angle of attack. Oh, it's really bad. I'm gonna have to adjust for that for sure, or not. I might not have to. But I'm gonna kill my motors here, and I'm gonna do some warpage here so we can get up to the AP again. This is something I do all the time. And then what you want to do is just hit prograde, and that'll bring your aircraft back into position. And sometimes you gotta adjust your twist. Usually when your camera angle is like right here, you know, you kind of adjust your twist a little bit. I like to get it kind of like this. There's no science behind it. Just make sure you're locked and not prograded before you make any movements that need to be permanent. But I'll continue to prograde till he's done right here on the nav ball, and then I'm going to lock it And I'm going to kind of push this way a little bit because I want my orbit to kind of get a little better because I'm like way twisted. So there, I'll try that out. It's just a guess. I pushed in a little bit. And then you just fire the motors, make sure you're still locked, and you can kind of see what happens to your orbit here. You see I went way below the line. I like to be up here for the moon because this is pretty much like a perfect orbit here in line with the moon. And so I'm just firing again at AP so I can speed sideways and get a good orbit going. And I like to make sure my PE is around 100,000 meters, and I'm going to kick off those engines because I know that I'm probably pretty safe to do so as long as he's going in a straight line. And I'll wait till this PE becomes at least 100,000 meters before I stop the motors about right there. Now I've got a good orbit going around the Earth. I don't have to worry about crashing. I am going to remove this debris just so we're not confused by it. You always want to target. We're going to target the moon. We could even target Minmus. Or we could go to, well, there's Minmus there. You know, we could always try to go to, like, Eve, for example. But here's a good example of a really tough planet to land on here. It looks easy. Like you're thinking to yourself, oh, yeah, that's a breeze. But no, it's really tough to get into these planets that are outside of Earth's SOI. I was lucky enough to get to Duna. That was almost sheer luck. But let's try for Eve. Why not? So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to shoot out of the SOI over here on this side. So in order to do that, let's target Eve first. So in order to shoot out of the SOI over there on that side, we're going to have to make sure that we go prograde here, and we're already almost at prograde. And we may as well just kick the engines on as soon as we get there, and that'll force us to change our orbit. It's going to open our orbit up over there. So we're prograded now, so I'm going to kick on all engines. And we're going through the Santa Ana winds out here right now in the Inland Empire of California. So everything in the backyard that I've created over the past couple of weeks has all decided to crash down. It's really tough out here because whatever you do outside, you got to make sure that you're protecting yourself against the wind and all sorts of other stuff. And so this is showing that I'm 11.4 degrees off of my target. So once I get out there, I'm going to have to change I'm going to have to adjust that. I've got almost half a tank left, a little more than half a tank left on firing this rocket here. That'll help me. As I get into the 3,000 meters per second range here, I am going to begin to get faster and faster, of course, and my orbit's going to get faster. So you got to watch that because you don't want to waste fuel. You just want to get out of the SOI. The Earth's SOI is way out here on this ring here. So we got to escape that, and that's what we're doing here. We're telling the rocket to just get the hell out of here. And here I go. I'm starting to reach the 3,000 mark on my meters per second, and that should really start to go fast. So you gotta kind of be Johnny on the spot with the throttle. I've got the control button here, which is still programmed for my throttle adjust here, and you just want to be careful because as you get close, boom, see, I'm out already. So I just stopped my engines there to save some thrust, and I'm gonna come out of the SOI here and just pop out. And since I stopped my thrusters right away, this is going to be pretty much my AP as well. So, boom, now I'm out. Now is when you start to make your decisions, and it says now that my angle of attack is only off by 2.2 degrees, which ain't bad, but for Eve, you got to be really kind of like on the spot in a way. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to adjust my orbit. So I'm going to retrograde. I'm going to retrograde to shorten my orbit on this side. And pretty much, I mean, I've got all this junk on me here. So, I mean, it's dealer's choice at this moment because I still have this whole rocket that hasn't even fired yet, and I got to be careful firing it because these boosters are just solid boosters and they don't stop once you start them. So whatever decision I make with those solid boosters, I got to make pretty solidly. But here I'm in a retrograde state, so I'm going to go ahead, and I don't want to get caught up by the Earth's SOI again. Because if that happens, then you're screwed, because then you're going to get sucked back into the Earth's SOI. But since I feel like this is probably the best attack point since I'm shorter here, I'm going to go ahead and retrograde my orbit right here. So I'm going to hit full blast because it takes a little while to get this orbit down. Because I'm really blasting. I'm really in outer space now. So you can see my SOI, and I'll just focus on Kerbal. That's what they call that, Kerbal. It's really the sun. I don't know why they use so much hypothetical names in this game instead of the sun and Mars and all that, but maybe it's because they want to be a little different. I don't know. But for example, this is kind of like Mars, I guess, over here, which is called Duna. And then you have what we call Mercury, they call it Moho. So we're coming into the area where this is Eve's orbit. So we want to kind of go like that, and you can see I'm already rather close to the planet on that figure right there. So it's basically telling me if I continue on this path, Eve will be here while I'm here. So we might have just got lucky. I don't know. But now what we need to do is we need to get over to this position over here and then start to pull back our orbit from this side. And that will give us a lot more chances of having an encounter with Eve. And we can also set up a maneuver, which is a good tool that they give you here. I'm just going to back up just a little more, just to get more in line there. I feel better about that. And probably about here I'll do a maneuver plan, and you can basically tell it, okay, well at this point I want to pull back my power, of course, to shorten my orbit, right? And it says, okay, it's basically telling me, okay, well if you do this, then you're going to have an encounter with Eve like right there. You see that encounter that just happened? So about right there, I'm going to have an encounter with Eve, and that's what I want. So, with that being said, you want to go to your maneuver node. Now, you got to remember, it wants 722 kilodillas to do this. And I only have 75 left in this rocket. So I would have to utilize all of my, basically all of my monopropellant to get down to that level. And I don't know if I have enough monopropellant to do that. So, let's give it a try. Because that's the only option I see that's going to, get us there. Of course, I could, let's see if I could change this to standard orbit of Eve. Like right around, hold on a second, I'm having trouble with this. Like right around right here. You see there? So, what I really want to do, let's start a new maneuver. Let's start again here. Okay. So, let's say I slow up. What I'm trying to prevent happening here is me going past the orbit. So I don't want to go too far past the orbit. It says 2, which should yield an encounter, you would think, right? But it's not giving me an encounter queue there. And then this one here, this has to be an encounter that it's just not picking up. So I'm going to keep it right there. That's 715. And I'm going to go ahead and initiate my maneuver node here. And I'm going to perform this even though I'm going to be out of fuel here. I'm going to have to kick these guys on and see if they'll do any justice for me with this particular rocket. Of course, we're going to lose a rocket, you got to remember, because if I don't have enough fuel to get back home, then there's no chance of me getting back home. So that's going to be a tough one. But we're just kind of playing around at this point, as we always do. And I'm getting close over here to the maneuver node on the ball, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the maneuver. And we still have 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and get that up to more like 30 seconds. Oh, there it is. 30 seconds. I thought it went too far. And then what I do is I always fast forward to about 10 seconds. Just to save some time here. And here we go. We're getting ready for our maneuver. We're going to have to kick this engine off. And what I forgot about is I'm going to have to undock this from here. And then I'm going to have to test these first. There we go. I lit them up. Now I'm going 100. Okay, so now we're going to have to kind of manually do our little deal here. First of all, let's find the planet. Eve, set a target. So as you can see, I am coming down. I am getting closer here, but I don't have much monopropellant, as you can see here. So this might be a tough cookie here. And look at my orbit is still outside of Eve's actual orbit. So I could have even stood to go a little further earlier. You can see how far apart they are. And that farness really matters. Like, you don't think it matters, but when it comes to the sphere of influence, it's really not that big, especially for Eve. So it's coming down. You really want to make sure your orbit is right on their orbit when you're doing these maneuvers. But I've still got half a tank of monopropellant, so let's see if we can get this encounter going on here. At this rate, I'm not sure that we're going to make it. But that doesn't matter because we've got our other rocket, and if we have to, we'll kick him off too and have him go towards it. So here we go. Still going. Come on, it's going so slow. I wish I could speed it up, but you can't really speed up when you're under power. You can't really speed up because the power just stops, I think. I'm not sure how that works. Well, let's try it a little bit. Oh, there we go. A little faster. Of course, I'm burning more fuel faster. Come on, baby. Get down there. I'm more comfortable doing this. That way we don't have to wait ages. Still going. I don't think I'm going to make it. Oh, I'm almost out. Oh, and it knows it. Approaching empty gas tank, it said. Oh, boy. Look at that. I'm out. Totally out. So that's as close as I'm going to get on this run. So now we're going to have to make a command decision. So this rocket here is useless. And that's okay. He can drift. That's fine. Let's kick him off of there. Boom. He's a goner. So he's just going to drift in that orbit forever until he crashes into Eve one of these centuries. But let's just see here. I should have... There it is. Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to go like this. We want to take this guy and put him here. Actually put him over here. We want to take these guys and put them up here. We don't want those to initiate by any means. We don't want that to initiate by any means right now. That would be bad. But we want to kick off this shell here. So there we go. We kicked it off. Now, we don't want to initiate these. We want to initiate this guy. So we're going to have to do some more moves. We're going to have to move this guy right here down to here. We're going to have to take these four and move them up because we don't want those to initialize. I'm going to take my power over here down before I hit this button. And I'm going to press the space bar, which you should see a little flame come out of here, signifying I initiated that engine. There it is. Engine initiated. So I'm ready to go with that engine. Let's back out of here, and now that we've changed aircrafts again, we're going to have to reset the target. And what I'm going to do is it's a good thing that our orbit here is outside. But let's go ahead and retrograde, which we're almost there because we were already flipped around. And let's see if we can get this to get closer here at this point. So we're going to retro these engines. And we're not in warp right now, so that should help us a little bit. I know it switched to number 2, but that's fine. I don't care if it's the second time I touch. We're getting closer. We want to be as close as possible to this when this happens. About right there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, just to make things easier, so I'm going to go to this guy right here, since it's going to take me a whole nother spin around. This is a little trick you can do to get your angle right. Go to your angle where it says 2.5, create a maneuver, and since it's positive, you want to go negative. So we're just going to click on here and we're going to pull the negative down, and that should change your angle to as close to 0 as possible. And see, we're having an encounter there, and apparently I'm going to spend 243. Let's see if I can get that down to 220 so we don't have to touch our engines again. One more. There it is, 220. Now we're going to do our maneuver node, and I'm going to spend all of my slowdown speed doing this. I wish I had parachutes on the rover, but I don't. So we're probably going to witness the rover just crash into oblivion as soon as it hits Eve. But that's okay, because I'm taking that big rocket with me, and I'll be able to land on Eve regardless with that big rocket. So now we're in line. We've got our maneuver ready to go. Let's fast forward to the maneuver. And fast forward a little more here. A little more. We want to get down to 30 seconds. Okay. And then, like I always do, speed up to 10. There we go. That gives us some time to think about everything. And we're going to be firing in 3, 2, 1, fire. And we don't even have to touch nothing because we had 220. It said we were going to need 220. So really, essentially, I could just delete this node here and it wouldn't matter. But we're going to burn for 20 more seconds here. I like to kick all these off. Matter of fact, since we're going to burn all our power anyway, might as well get a good view on things. See where we're headed. I don't even see Eve off in the distance at all. And that's it. We're out. And hopefully we're having an encounter. And that's what it shows here. So let me zoom out a little bit. We'll go into Eve here. And let's see where we're going to encounter. We're going to encounter Eve over here. So we're going to have to fast forward, so we don't wait all year. And we crisscross Eve, and then we come up to Eve and kapow. Oh, we're going to enter over here. I'm sorry. That was just some other stuff. I think you win some science once you break into Eve's SOI, so don't be surprised if you see some green awards popping up. And we're going to enter Eve now. Slowly. Kapow. So there we go. We're in Eve's SOI. I think that's like a 3,000 science bonus right there. But let's get up to the PE before we make any decisions. Because we still have, we're at, you know, like 60,000 meters from Eve's surface. So we're just going to get us a lot closer before we start to decision make here. We're even still really far. Let's see if we can see her. There she is. Look at her. Yay. Okay, now, since I don't have any fuel left on this thing, we may as well kick this tank off here because he is empty. So there's my tank kicker. Let's put this right here. And there should be a booster motor. There it is. That kicks as well. So the only reason I had that on there was so that I could land straight on the surface when I kicked it. So I'm going to kick it and it's going to go shooting off. Hopefully it doesn't blow me up. There it goes. Launch off into oblivion. See you later. He'll be forever in orbit. Probably for centuries and centuries and a millennia. He'll just be in an orbit. Unless I just send him on a clear path to Eve and then he'll just crash on Eve, but I doubt it. That would be a shot in the dark. Like a needle in a haystack chance. But he is just going. He's got some speed to him now because he's got that rocket on him. And he is just going to go till go forever. You know, I wonder someday if a civilization ever finds the remnants of humanity, the remnants of Earth, if they'll ever go into some of these chips that we have in our computers and find these games and try to figure us out and possibly be able to somehow watch this video someday and just wonder what we were thinking. Like, wow, look at these. They were so advanced. They had these consoles that they would have, and all of them had these consoles in their house and at one point, and they were able to traverse the galaxies in a you know, simulated environment. Like, what were they up to? You know, I mean, like, I think of that stuff all the time because, like, for most humans on Earth, they think about the present. They think about the small, menial things of the world. Oh, this is going to be fun, guys. I just realized I also have another rocket on here that I'd like to launch. So let's move this over here. Let's move this rocket down here. Let's turn off the power here and initiate this engine that I have on the back of here, because I mean, for lack of better words, this scenario right here is really useless for the rover. I don't have the ability to drag this rover with us to Eve. This is gonna have to just consist of this guy here. And it's really kind of sad because this rover is just going to go. But before it does, we could have a little bit of fun with it. Let me click up its screen here. I've activated the motor already. I'm gonna throttle it up, but first, I don't know if this will stay with me. This box will stay with me when I open this up, but I'm gonna undock from this craft. And you know what I just thought about? I'd never put a separator on this engine, so I might have to burn this off. Oh man, I hope that didn't really just nip me in the bud, but let's try this here. And then let's try to fire this throttle. This pilot here is like, damn man, you're gonna do me like that? And I'm like, yep, see you later. Oh, it somehow stayed attached. Oh no, that's not good. That's a glitch. The dock never undocked properly. Oh, that's weird. I just paused it. I'm probably gonna blow up here in a collision of some sort. I don't know how this is gonna play out, but my guys are going crazy. Oh yeah, he hit. Oh man. Oh no. I've never seen this before. This is a glitch because I did undock it. You guys saw me. I undocked. And he just won't go away. And I'm having trouble keeping track of him here. Oh no. What is going on? Oh man. Look at this. This is like a super glitch. And that rocket's got a lot of fuel in it too. So he's just gonna go on and on. Oh man. I'm still in some weird spin here, dude. This ain't good. It looks like he finally separated from my craft, but maybe not. So let's try to change the tracking to that other space shuttle. Nope, that's this one. And he is just spinning. Where's the other guy? Oh, he's up there. That's him right there spinning around. So hopefully when this thing stops the engines, maybe it'll slow up. I don't know. But I mean, normally an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force in space. So I don't really see him stopping. Boy, she's just chilling. Or Siegfried or whoever that is. They're just chilling. Sigdred. Look at that. Sigdred Kerman. He's got dreads. Dude. Man. So sorry about this, Sigdred, but we need to get to our... Let's see. Maybe it's called Default 47? Where are we here in space? Okay, we're not that one. We tried 47. We tried 48, I believe. What is Gilly? Oh, that's the moon. Oh, I'm not even in vessels here. Okay. Let's try 44. 44 is the one I left dry out there. Command, we are having a problem. So 47, what is 47? Is that... There it is. That's him. So it looks like he's gotten control of his craft, which is a good thing. I still have this darn docking station on the back. Let's see if... I don't have the means to get rid of it. And look at this. I'm like... Oh, I don't know why, but I'm not able to. You see how the camera's panning in? It's because it's following that rover, I think. It's not following this rocket. So it thinks that this and that are the same things. I'm going to see if I can control from here. Undock, dude. Like, I guess it's already undocked. Yeah, this was a total glitch, guys. I don't know what to do now, other than I don't want to fire those 4 heavies right now. I would rather fire the center channel and wait on the 4 heavies. So let's see if I can initiate and then fire and burn off that docking port like I said. Okay, so I can fire. I need to see if this thing will let me have better control over this craft though. Let's see if it'll let me look at it in here. Maybe we can destroy this. There. Maybe that'll help. Where is it? I'm zooming out. Oh yeah, see I'm way up here. Why can't I control it? It's treating it like it's junk. I can control this one. But I can't control 47 for some reason. It's treating it like it's junk. This is horrible. Okay. Now I'm able to see it, but is it still wacky? No, I look like I have control over this now. Okay. So I'm thinking that since this docking port is blocking this, this isn't really doing anything for me. And there is no eject on this thing. So, ooh, I didn't know I could change the acquire force of the dock port. That's good to know. Sometimes I want to do a soft dock, and I'll tell you why later. But if you watch my videos, you can see there's a video on there called something happened or whatever. I don't know. It's only a couple of minutes long, and I was trying to create a refueler on the ground. And it was basically a rover with a docking port hung on a crane like setup. And I tried to back into the docking port on one of the aircraft, and I had 2 astronauts on my rover backing it in. And when the 2 docking ports met, the rover was coming back like this. And when the 2 docking ports met, it was 100% force. And it just went... And the whole rover just jerked so fast that one of my astronauts flew like 1,000,000 miles. And the other astronaut, I went over to zoom in on her face. She was still in the jump seat, and she had her eyes closed. And I was like, dude, she died, bro. I watch that sometimes for kicks. But anyhow, let's make our attempt here. We're almost at Eve's PE. I don't know if I'm going to be able to slow my craft down, but just in case, let's get even closer to the PE here. And I'll go ahead and try to retrograde. And I don't know if this rocket will even retrograde, because it's like dead in the water. Look at it. It's not moving. Like, what's going on? Nothing's moving. I'm not in warp. I have a rotation unit here. It should do something. This is not good, guys. Oh, now somehow I have full fuel. I just don't know what's going on. It's almost like the whole game has glitched out. I'm going to try to pump. and see if it changes my orbit in any fashion. I don't see it changing my orbit at all. I don't see my speeds changing. I think I totally glitched out the system. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to find a load point where we're, you know, near the same situation. SOI change right here. So let's go ahead and go back. This would be when we first bursted into Eve. Apparently. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get to our PE right away here. Oh, I went too far, but that's okay. Retrograde, of course. Of course, we're out of fuel in this guy. So we're going to do the standard full around game here that we did last time. We want this guy to eject. We want this guy. Oh, we might as well fire this guy off and eject him, but we want this guy to fire upon ejection. So here we go again. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's causing glitches. Oh. Oh! Whoops. Wrong button. Wrong button. Let's go back. Let's see if I can. There we go. SOI change. Sometimes I'll start a save file even though I'm just playing around and I'm not really meaning to do any of this because I don't want to lose pilots up in the sky. Anyways. But it appears as if the whole game is kind of glitched out now because I'm not getting any load screens. So I'll do what I gotta do sometimes, and that is end task. There we go. And for some reason, Chrome has 12